Hey everybody, I just want to put a few words in here about things. If you don't know Adapt 2030 YouTube channel, you probably should. It keeps a very good eye on what's happening in the world, and as far as the supply line chain, the food, and the growing zones and everything else, and talks about the weather. And if you don't know anything about the grand solar minimum, I suggest you go over to David's channel over here at Adapt 2030 and find out about what he's talking about, the grand solar minimum, and how we're at like a 2,500 year period where we're going to see dramatically changes in our weather and extreme weather in the future. He's also talking about the high price of food, and we should stock up. Now, there's another good channel I like to watch is Ice Age Farmer. A Christian is a good person, and he's telling you right now what's happening. The egg supply, the chicken supply in the world is being uh, dramatically reduced at this point as the supply lanes chain breaks with the high price of fuel because of the energy policies of this administration. I don't care if you're, well, I don't care what your political affiliation is, but I'm just telling you, it doesn't make much sense to shut down your energy production in a country where you have so much abundant energy. Um, I watch Sky News once in a while, and all they can talk about is global warming and all that stuff. You know what? I'm sorry, folks, but you want to talk about global warming? Global warming, to me, is not an issue. I'll tell you right now that when the Roman Empire was at its height, the Earth was much warmer than it is now. We're actually in a mini ice age still, and we're slipping more into it. And with this extreme weather and the tilting of the axis of the Earth, you can talk about pole flips all you want. That's magnetic pole flips that they're talking about, um, and that is, a concern. But the Earth's not going to just flip from top to bottom. It only tilts. That's what most people don't understand about the pole flip. They're talking about magnetic pole flips. But Kristen does talk about what's happening and how they're going after even people that have chickens like you and me. And if you don't have chickens, get chickens right now because I'm telling you right now, if you don't get any chickens, you may not be able to get any because of the culling of the birds in a lot of these big farms. McMurray, for example, just had one right now, and I don't think you're going to be able to order stuff from them to get any chickens. Your feed store is the best place to. Local feed store is probably the best place to get chickens. I know it's going to cost you a little more money, but you don't have to sit there and wait for them to come in the mail and find out that all of them died because they got set there on the shelf for 2 days. Nobody fed and watered them. Last couple of years, people have had horror stories about ordering chickens and chicks, and when they showed up, they were slow to deliver, and our supply lane is just just collapsing with the high price of fuel. A lot of these trucking companies that have contracts with these shipping companies, they're going to do force majeure. They're going to say, no, we can't ship for that anymore. And you haven't paid us in 120 days. That's happened to a few trucking companies already. It's also caused a collapse of trucking companies. Trucking companies have been around for almost 100 years. Do you think it's going to get any better? No. If I were you right now, I'd do what I did on Wednesday. I went and topped off my preps. Got the meat for the freezer. Bought the items that I needed to restock and rotate. And it's great that you can and everything, but I would get as many canning supplies as you can. And I also have like a bath canner, a pressure canner, and a electric pressure canner called a Carry. My canner that you put on the stove, the pressure canner is also called an All American. It's a good product. But I would get the canning supplies and just buy the jars. Buy extra lids for every one of them jars. I bought 15 lids to every jar I have in my house for canning. And canning's not a new thing to me. when we were kids, my parents were ranchers and farmers. So we actually, you know, back then when they were ranchers and farmers, you could get snowed in for 3 or 4 months in the winter time because there was no snow plows to get you cleared out and get you out of the driveway, to be honest with you. So my parents were originally preppers in that respect. And, they always had extra parts on hand. They had spare parts for electrical, plumbing, stuff to fix around the farm and the ranch. They had welding gear, welding supplies, um, extra, jars. Canning to them was like a normal everyday thing. I remember as a kid, our parents taught us all how to can, sew, fix cars, do mechanical work and electrical stuff. And, so I had an advantage from most people nowadays where they just learned a few things and their parents didn't really teach them much. They just, they sent you to daycare. Um, but acquiring those skills are very important. But at this point in time, I'm telling you right now that you could see a massive egg shortage, poultry shortage, like chicken, turkey. And it's just going to come around to the hogs and the cows and, for beef and pork and everything else. So if you plan on getting something this year and raising animals, I think you better do it now. And I'm going to say, get a couple rabbits, even if you want to use them as pets. The amount of fertilizer that a couple rabbits will produce, easily produce enough fertilizer for your garden. Now, there's one other thing I want to point out. Now, this may sound gross, but if you can't buy any fertilizer at the store, you got table scraps you can put in a compost pile. But there's also another thing. There's a lot of plants that require high nitrogen feed, especially during certain growth cycles during the year, through their life cycle. And that's like corn, potatoes, and even beets. Beets require a lot of phosphate and they require a lot of nitrogen because beets are like I keep pointing out, beetroot juice is a natural way to lower your blood pressure if you have high blood pressure. If you're on high blood pressure medicines, try some beetroot juice and consult with your doctor. I'm not a medical professional. This is not medical advice. I'm just telling you what I do in my own life because I do have high blood pressure and I control it through beetroot juice, not through pharmaceuticals. But these high nitrogen items like potatoes, corn, and beets, and so forth, if you can't get the nitrogen or the fertilizer to fertilize them, there's another way. The other way is urine. And you're going to say, urine? You want me to pee in a bottle and put that on my plants? Yeah, I do. Because 2.5% of your urine contains nitrogen, a nitrogen compound that was before big oil, before the petrol came about for making fertilizers, because they're telling you, oh, we can't produce ammonium nitrate because the oil situation is dried up. And what do you think it gets produced at that certain country that's being sanctioned right now? And if fertilizer just flies out the shelf, we have another situation where all of a sudden you can't buy seeds. And that's another thing too. Go buy as many seeds as you can that you're going to grow. Make sure they're heirloom seeds so you can grow them again and harvest seeds. If you don't know about harvesting seeds, I have harvesting seed videos all over the place in YouTube, Rumble, BitChute. But learn to grow your own food that you're going to eat. I grew celery last year, and I chopped it off and chopped it up and threw it into the freezer and mixed it with other stuff for like making soups all winter long. It's not that hard. It works. And, you can use it for stir fry and everything else. But my point is, where I'm going to get to, is that you need to think about food storage and food right now and get your preps in line, because I don't know how longer this supply chain is going to last. It's just, the price of oil is just ridiculous. You're going to have trucking companies say, we just can't haul this stuff for what you're paying us to ship it. You shippers are, wanting us to ship this stuff. We can't haul it for what you're paying. Our contracts are dried up. We got to do force majeure. We're going to have to do a daily contract just to ship something for you. And we want payment beforehand. We're not going to wait 120 days anymore because we can't do it on our books because we're already broke. We can't pay our drivers. When you start seeing trucks on the side of the road, semi-trucks on the side of the road, because they can't get fuel anymore because their fuel cards have dried up and been turned off because these trucking companies have no more money and no more credit to run and ship this stuff. We're going to see a crisis in this country and across the world. We're already seeing it across Europe right now, where we're seeing food shortages and we're seeing really high prices. That's why I'm saying fill up your freezer, fill up your refrigerator, go get that canned food, go get your canned supplies, get your extra supplies that you need in case you have an emergency around your house where you need to fix some plumbing or you need to put a new circuit breaker in your electrical panel even. And it's not that hard to put a breaker in a panel. If you haven't seen that, I did that on my MPP solar all-in-one unit. The whole video, it's like 42 minutes long. I know that's a long time, but if you want to know about wire sizes and how to calculate things and how to set up an electrical panel, how to replace a breaker, and how to wire up things, and how to set up a solar system, it's all there. I've got a 42-minute video, and it's very explicit. I did it so I showed you how to make cables. I showed you how to terminate cables. I showed you how to make the cables for solar, for the panels and everything else, and the connectors, how to make those. Very important to learn skills, life skills like that, because you may not be able to call somebody because they may not even have enough gas to drive down your road to come help you out if something breaks. But I'm going to tell you right now, stock up your freezers, your shelves, and your supplies. Because I've got this weird, odd feeling that like by Tuesday we're going to see a lot of things happen. It's only a matter of time over there in Europe before things go south. It takes one little incident to get everything fired up and roaring a fire. And I believe that we're going to see a fire over there in Europe real soon, if you know what I mean. And it's going to get ugly across the world. And you see China still locking down, and they're hardly shipping anything out the ports anymore. They're just, the most thing they're doing is importing tons of food. And why do you think that is? Because they know something's coming. And the countries around the world are stocking up gold in their banks to back their currency with gold. Why do you think that is? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out, even though I have worked on some rockets in my lifetime, like, maybe the cruise missile, stuff that goes in the space shuttle and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I've done all that stuff. But what I'm saying is that the time for action is now, and I don't think you have much time. And instead of going out and buying a bunch of bang-bangs and ammo and stuff like that, yeah, that's nice, but the major concern you're going to see in the following months is going to be food issues and supply line issues. And I really, really, really wish that you would listen to this message now, because I've done this on this channel and several of my other channels for 5 years now, trying to tell people to prepare and get ready for a day like today or a day like a year like this year, because it's really not going to get better. If you notice that in 2024 there's 4 planets that align, and magnetically they're going to affect the Earth because we're going to be right in the center of it. You're going to see fire in the sky. You're going to see a lot of things you've never seen in your lifetime. And the weather is going to be massively chaotic. You're going to see choppy jet stream. You're going to see tornadoes where you've never seen a tornado. You're going to see snowstorms and hailstorms where you've never seen them. And it could go as far south as Florida. We're just going to see some really, really odd duck weather. And I'm not kidding about this. So if you haven't prepared, stocked up, I suggest that you do. At least have 6 months to a year worth of food in the house, folks. And a good way to do that is canned food, dry bulk food. I mean, you can get a 60 pounds of pinto beans, which I have, um, and a bunch of rice, um, which I have a bunch of rice. Trust me, I have a bunch of rice. You know, um, one of those 20-pound bags of this real expensive rice that I buy rice because I like it. They come in 20-pound bags, and to be honest with you, you can get about 40 to 60 meals out of that thing. Okay, so that's got to feed you for 40 to 60 days. Forget all this dried food, you know, this, you know, the dehydrated food from blah, blah, blah for $100 for a 30-day supply. Are you kidding me? Go get yourself a bag of rice and some beans and a bunch of canned vegetables if you have to. If you're going to eat canned vegetables, I'm going to say one thing. There's a lot of salt in canned food, especially vegetables. And what you probably want to do is you want to go ahead and when you go to heat up that canned vegetable, drain the water out first because most of the salt's going to leave. There'll be salt in the vegetable, but it won't be as high concentration. Anyways, I suggest this weekend you make it your priority to stock up on food because I don't have a good feeling about the way this is going in the world, and I really want to see everyone not starve this winter. Thanks for watching. God bless.